What happens when one of Hollywood's most respected actresses comes face to face with television's most unpredictable host? You won't believe what unfolds when Meryl Streep sits down with Joy Behar on The View, expecting a friendly chat about her latest project, only to find herself ambushed with accusations that would leave even the most seasoned performer speechless. This isn't just another celebrity interview gone wrong. This is a masterclass in how quickly things can spiral completely out of control when egos clash and tempers flare. Before we get into this incredible story, make sure you hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below, because you're not going to believe what unfolds when these two powerhouses go head-to-head in what became one of the most explosive confrontations in daytime television history. The tension was palpable from the moment Meryl Streep walked onto the View set last night. What should have been a celebration of her illustrious career quickly devolved into a verbal battlefield that left viewers stunned and the legendary actress visibly shaken. Joy Behar, known for her sharp tongue and controversial takes, had apparently prepared something far more confrontational than anyone anticipated. As Meryl settled into her chair with her characteristic grace, exchanging pleasantries with the other co-hosts, there was an almost electric charge in the air. The cameras rolled, the audience applauded, and what happened next would become the talk of Hollywood within hours. Joy wasted no time cutting through the typical celebrity interview niceties. "Meryl, let's talk about something that's been bothering me," she began, her voice carrying that familiar edge that regular viewers know all too well. "You've made a career out of playing these strong, independent women on screen, but off-screen, you've been awfully quiet about some pretty serious issues in Hollywood." The smile on Meryl's face began to fade as she sensed where this was heading. "I'm sorry, Joy, but I'm not sure what you're referring to," she responded diplomatically, clearly trying to steer the conversation back to safer territory. But Joy was just getting started. "Oh, come on, Meryl. You can't tell me you didn't know what was happening with Harvey Weinstein all those years. You worked with him. You thanked him in speeches. You posed for photos with him. And now you want us to believe you were completely in the dark?" The accusation hung in the air like a toxic cloud. Meryl's composure, legendary for remaining intact even under the most challenging circumstances, began to crack. "Joy, that's incredibly unfair and frankly insulting. I've addressed this issue multiple times, and I've been very clear about my position." "Have you, though?" Joy pressed, leaning forward with the predatory instincts of someone who sensed blood in the water. "Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like a lot of convenient amnesia. You're supposed to be this brilliant actress who notices every detail, every nuance, every subtle emotion, but somehow you missed years of abuse happening right under your nose." The other co-hosts shifted uncomfortably in their seats, sensing that Joy had crossed a line that even The View's notoriously loose boundaries shouldn't have allowed. Whoopi tried to interject, "Maybe we should," but Joy cut her off with a dismissive wave. Meryl's voice took on a steel quality that those who knew her recognized as a warning sign. "Joy, I understand that controversy drives ratings, but what you're suggesting is not only false but deeply hurtful. I've spent my entire career advocating for women, supporting causes that matter, and speaking out when I felt it was appropriate and effective." "When you felt it was appropriate?" Joy shot back, her voice rising. "So the abuse of dozens of women wasn't appropriate enough for the great Meryl Streep to speak up? You had the platform, you had the influence, you had the power, and you chose silence." The studio audience was dead quiet now, sensing they were witnessing something unprecedented. Meryl's face had gone pale, but her eyes blazed with an anger that was both controlled and terrifying. "You're making assumptions about what I knew and when I knew it, and you're doing it for shock value. This isn't journalism, Joy. This is character assassination." Joy seemed to feed off the tension, her voice becoming more aggressive with each exchange. "Character assassination? That's rich coming from someone who's built a career on pretending to be other people. Maybe it's time we saw the real Meryl Streep instead of another performance." The personal attack was the match that lit the fuse. Meryl's legendary composure finally shattered. "How dare you?" she said, her voice low and dangerous. "How dare you sit there and question my integrity, my morals, my entire life's work based on your cynical need to create drama? You don't know me. You don't know what I've done privately to help people, and you have no right to judge me." "I have every right," Joy fired back. "You're a public figure who's been put on a pedestal, and maybe it's time someone knocked you off it. You want to talk about helping people? Where was that help when it mattered most? Where was Meryl Streep when women were being assaulted and their careers destroyed?" The question hung between them like a gauntlet thrown down in medieval combat. Meryl stood up slowly, her movements deliberate and controlled, but there was something volcanic brewing beneath the surface. "I will not sit here and be ambushed by someone who clearly has her own agenda. This isn't an interview, it's a public execution, and I refuse to participate." Joy wasn't backing down. "So you're going to run away? Just like you ran away from confronting the real problems in Hollywood? That's very telling, Meryl." "Running away?" Meryl's voice cracked with emotion. "I've faced more challenges in my career than you could possibly imagine. I've spoken truth to power when it mattered. I've used my platform responsibly and thoughtfully. But I will not be lectured about moral courage by someone whose idea of journalism is gotcha questions and cheap shots." The confrontation had reached a fever pitch. Joy stood up now too, matching Meryl's energy. "Cheap shots? I'm asking the questions that everyone else is too afraid to ask. Maybe if more people had asked these questions years ago, fewer women would have been hurt. And maybe," Meryl shot back, her voice shaking with fury, "if interviewers focused on constructive dialogue instead of manufactured controversy, we could actually make progress on these issues, instead of turning them into entertainment." Joy's face was flushed now, her voice reaching a crescendo. "Don't you dare try to turn this around on me. I'm not the one who stayed silent while women were being abused. I'm not the one who smiled and played nice with predators for decades." That was the final straw. Meryl's voice dropped to barely above a whisper, but every word cut like a blade. "I have dedicated my life to my craft and to causes I believe in. I have raised children, supported countless charities, and tried to use whatever influence I have responsibly. But I will not be crucified by someone who has confused aggression with journalism and cruelty with courage." The studio was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Even the camera operators seemed frozen, unsure whether to keep rolling or cut away from the carnage unfolding before them. Joy, perhaps sensing she had pushed too far but unable to back down now, made one final, devastating attack. "Save the speech, Meryl. The truth is, when it really mattered, when women needed allies with power and influence, you chose your career over their safety. And now, you want to be celebrated as some kind of feminist icon? It's hypocritical, and it's disgusting." The words hit Meryl like physical blows. For a moment, she seemed to stagger under the weight of the accusation. Then, with the dignity that had made her a legend, she straightened her shoulders and looked directly into Joy's eyes. "I came here today as your guest, expecting to have a civilized conversation about my work and perhaps some of the issues facing our industry. Instead, I've been subjected to a coordinated attack, designed not to illuminate truth but to generate headlines. You've shown me, and everyone watching, exactly who you are, Joy. And it's not someone I respect or someone I need to justify myself to." With that, Meryl turned and began walking toward the exit. Joy, perhaps realizing the interview was slipping away from her control, called out desperately, "So that's it? You're just going to walk away? Prove my point about avoiding difficult conversations?" Meryl paused at the edge of the set, turning back one final time. Her voice, when she spoke, carried the weight of 5 decades in Hollywood and the pain of a woman who had given everything to her craft only to be publicly humiliated for entertainment. "Joy, I've had difficult conversations my entire career. I've fought battles you can't imagine, often quietly, often thanklessly. But I draw the line at being abused for sport. This isn't brave journalism, it's bullying, and I won't be part of it." The studio remained in stunned silence as Meryl Streep, one of the most celebrated actresses in history, walked off, the view set with her head held high, leaving behind a host who had pushed too far and a television moment that would be replayed and analyzed for years to come. The confrontation had lasted less than 15 minutes, but it had revealed something profound about power, accountability, and the price of fame, in an era where controversy often matters more than truth.